finally couple of weeks with no drama.
Good.
Just felt good.
Good.
I don't know if I tried the food bars and they were okay. Chewy and soft and tasty and all that kind of stuff. The one was kind of messy. I think that's the green one.
A little oily?
Yeah. Yeah, a little messy, but it was still tasty.
Okay.
So that's a good. And then I tried the two
little packets? Yeah.
Packets. And I tried them on 2 different days. One on Friday and one on
What time of day did you try it?
The one on Friday I did it around noonish.
Okay.
You know, because I went to go visit my mom, and I figured I'd do it while I was there, so that way I wouldn't be tempted to get into anything that she, you know, because she tends to give me a lot of food or have a lot of food available, and so I just thought, well, I'll try it and then maybe see how I do in behavior. And I noticed it doesn't make me. It's not so much as it makes me feel full as it just makes me feel not hungry.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. And then I tried it again on Monday, earlier in the day. And now what I've noticed though is, and I don't know if it's that or if there's something else going on with me, but on, because I do have vertigo issues, so on Friday night, I started having all kinds of dizzies, and it went on into Saturday, and I just fought dizzies all day long.
Okay.
Monday, I took that. Tuesday, I had trouble with my ring. I couldn't get it on. My hands were so swollen.
Yeah, it wouldn't be from that, because there's no salt in it.
Okay. I don't know what it was, but I mean, my hands were massively. And I had to, this thing has been so big on me that I actually put an extra wrap on there trying to keep it on, keep from losing it. And it's been really loose. And even now it's a little bit on the snug side, but I mean, I couldn't even get it on. I put it on my pinky and then it fell off somewhere along the way. So that's the only thing I can think of. I did go swimming yesterday. Did 33 laps and threw out my shoulder in the process, which hurt.
Okay. All right.
Did good on it though. I've been pushing. One of my goals is to be able to do the whole lap without having to come up for air, which I can do about halfway-ish, maybe a little bit more.
So if you gave yourself a grade for the last 2 weeks in regards to making decisions with food and being out and about and so forth, how would you grade it?
Between an A and a B.
Okay.
You know, because I've been trying really. It's one of those, I'm so sick and tired of that 230-ish area that it's like every time I got down to, okay, let's go to the next step, I'd bounce right back up. So last 3 days I've been the same weight every morning. This is my chart. And I had to keep, the doctor wanted me to keep track of my blood pressure and my weight. You know, since I ran out of that one medicine.
Right.
Just to see how I'm doing.
Blood pressure looks okay. Kind of bounced around with the bottom number a little bit.
I just think it's funny that the last 3 mornings I've had the same weight. Yeah.
Well, it's like one of the, you tend not to lose weight daily. Yeah. Well, let's get your weight. Let's see where you're at. So I'm looking at the morning now. Okay, I was looking at the evening.
Yeah, morning's this side, bedtime's that side.
Okay.
Whoops.
Step on, then step right back off.
Hello.
Howdy.
It's ready. 232.4 pounds.
Ooh, I like your scale better than mine.
Good. Yeah, you're down 3.
Awesome.
Yep. Good. Good. 232?
It's
232.4.
Perfect. You're down right at 3.
Oh, I gotta show you the back of this.
Say it, believe it, indeed. Yeah, that's what I say to my athletes.
Did I tell you about my roadies? That's a
Yeah.
t-shirt.
Yeah. That's exactly what I say to my athletes.
We've been trying to come up with a saying for my channel, and the closest thing I can come up with is, well, I've had a couple, but I think the most positive one is, if you're gonna start it, finish it, is one of my biggest
Right.
things. And he says I should say more like, you're gonna start it, see it through. You know, because sometimes you can't finish it, you know, type of thing. But
I went see it through to your end.
to the completion or whatever, yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
my biggest frustration is people constantly start stuff but they never follow through on it.
Right.
And it just drives me crazy. And so my kids, you very seldom see them start something, mainly because they know I'm gonna make them follow it all the way to the completion, so.
Right. Yeah, you can't control the completion, but you can control the process.
Right.
To completing it.
Right.
Right. You can't control always the outcome, but you can at least control the steps to how you're gonna get to the outcome.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what's more important. The same thing, you can't control the scale, but you control the specific tasks that help influence that scale.
Right.
Right? Making the good decisions with the food, making the good decisions with the activity, right? Getting your sleep in, right? All those correct things leads to changes in the scale.
Right.
Right? And you know, hey, this is the hard part, right? So I think, you know, the big thing for you is understanding that, hey, how is your shoulder doing? I mean,
It's feeling
and
a whole lot better.
And how's your hernia doing?
Been doing
Okay.
good.
All right. So what we have to really start focus on is, and I know you're in the water, right, doing a lot of water stuff, and you're kind of walking around the track. How long does it take you to walk a mile? And can you do it without stopping?
We haven't tried that.
We haven't tried it without the stopping.
Okay.
It might take, I know it takes me less than an hour, but it should take me about 20 minutes, and I don't make it in 20 minutes.
Okay. So I think you're at a phase, that's where you really are going to have to start focusing, right? Because if you think about like your activity, right, and where you're at with your weight. Right now you're at 232.4. And we've measured your metabolism, right? And being about 1,000 calories a day, the most you are likely to lose is maybe 2.5 pounds per week, right? And that's staying rigid at 1,000, right? And I know there's days that you're not, and so forth, right? But with your metabolism, always will continue to go down, even with taking this, right? This is help try to prevent as much as possible, right? So I'm going to show you an important graph. I need to just get this thing digitally made, so that way you can see what I'm talking about. Start having this in a handout, 'cause I'm drawing this more and more lately. A lot of patience. All right. So if you look at a graph. All right. And we're going to say this is weight loss over time. Right?
Yeah.
And this is going to be calories. We're going to just put that as calories, right? You're starting out right here with your resting metabolism, right? Your resting metabolism starts out like this, right? And then all of a sudden it does that, right? And then it kind of levels out again, but it does still kind of trickle down a little bit. Okay, and this is pretty dramatic, and it doesn't happen to that level, but it does. Okay, so this is your resting metabolism, RMR. So remember we talked about your total energy expenditure follows the same element to that, right? Because it mirrors it, right? Because as you lose weight, you don't burn as many calories through your activity, so it mirrors it pretty close to this. All right. Now, what happens is when we start out, when you start out on a program, this is going to be your calories consumed. So I'm going to put TEE here, and this is your calories consumed, right? Here. So what we tend to do is keep you flatlined, right? That over time, what tends to happen, and it's very normal, is your calories, because of dietary fatigue, start to creep up, right?
Yeah.
Starts doing this to the point where it levels off again. It's hard psychologically to get it back down to here, right?
Really hard.
It's very hard because of dietary fatigue.
Yeah.
So it stays pretty consistent here, and if not, it starts to do this, right? This is the weight loss window, right? The bigger the gap, the greater the weight loss.
Yeah.
Right? Over time, what happens is that gap?
It shrinks up, and you're going to have a big problem there.
So what happens is weight loss slows.
Yeah.
Right? So the weight loss slows dramatically, right? You're taking, the EGCG to help kind of boost this up a little bit, but this is what it's doing with the EGCG. It takes up to maybe right about here. So you get a little bit of a boost. Not much, right? This is where exercise is so imperative, right? Because we start patients out on low exercise, 0, right? But we know this is happening, right? And that's where exercise starts to come into play, right? But unfortunately, as you lose weight, if I were to take a different graph, right? And this is, it's going to follow the same thing as RMR with weight loss. So we're going to say 200, and this is 100, right? And you're burning your calories with exercise. But even with exercise, right, this is what happens with your metabolism with exercise. Right? Because you're not moving as much mass, so your body doesn't need to expend as much energy moving a lighter mass, even doing the exact same activity. So how you make that up is intensity. The harder you work requires more energy to do that, right? So it's important, if we were to look at exercise now, right? If I do this with exercise, right? It's important that we can't stay stable, right? We have to be able to start getting this up right here. So exercise should start going up, right? Because the intent with exercise, if we add an exercise here, right, is to move our TEE, which is called total energy expenditure, which is your RMR, your exercise, and your daily activities of living, right? So if we start adding in exercise, which you've already been doing, right, then the idea is to move this TEE up like this with exercise.
Okay.
So if we can increase that with exercise, and this is the calories consumed, if we keep it stable, then we've opened that window a little bit more.
You got more of a chance of losing weight.
Exactly. So that's what we have to have happen. And that's why I brought up how long does it take you to walk, right? Because there's not much more we can do with this.
Yeah.
Right? And there's not much more I can do with calories.
Pretty
right?
much stabilized, yeah.
Right? We can't, I've got you here when I can't take you down too much further.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why the exercise has got to be so important at this element. Right? So looking at your activity, you're going to the pool and you're walking, you're doing all the right things, right? But with losing weight and the intensity being the same, your actual expenditure with exercise goes down from where it used to. Because you're moving less weight. So that's why we've got to start talking about, can we get you to move faster? Right? Can we get you to move, a little bit, push yourself a little bit more to increase that expenditure?
Well, we just had the fitness thing from Buckley's biggest fitness. What do
The
they call
fitness
it?
challenge.
Yeah, the fitness challenge. They changed the name of it, and I can't get it straight in my head. But she gave me all those exercises, and so what I've been doing is blending that into my workout, and it's a lot of burpees.
Okay.
Do a burpee,
but it's important that you try,
I'm
right?
trying.
And that's good that you're doing that, but those are short bouts, right? Those are short bouts, and that's good, right? But I'm looking at, we need to start putting a time on completing your walking, right? A distance and a time.
Okay.
Right?
Make it
Because
faster.
because that's going to start boosting up your intensity.
Okay.
Right? Because if I say just now, I go, hey, starting out like you'd already been doing, go out and walk. right?
Mhm.
Get a mile in. Well, it may take you, 40 minutes, right?
Mhm.
We need to get you to 15,
Mhm.
right? We need to cut that down nearly in half,
Yeah.
right? Because we need to get you walking 4 miles an hour,
Mhm.
right? Which is a 15-minute mile pace,
Yeah.
right? Which is, that's a pretty good move.
Yeah, I
right?
know I've walked on the
Treadmill?
treadmill. 3 miles an hour
It's tough.
is tough.
That's what, but
Yeah,
see, 3
yeah.
miles an hour
Yeah.
is what we call standard walking.
Yeah.
Right, if I were to just go out and go to the mall, you might walk a little bit slower than 3 miles an hour because people are moving around and so forth
People
like
get
that.
in the way.
Yeah, so you might walk closer to 2, maybe 2.5. But, outside, if most people are just to go for a walk, just a leisure stroll, they're going to walk 3 miles an hour.
Mhm.
That's a normal gait stride,
Mhm.
right? But we got to get you to move a little bit faster, right? So to do that, right, I think that's where the treadmill can come in. Because I know, right, I don't expect you to be able to walk 4 miles an hour continuous
Yeah.
for 1 mile. But what I want you to do is walk a quarter mile for at a 3 mile per hour pace, walk a quarter mile at a 4 mile per hour pace, walk a quarter mile at a 3 mile per hour pace, and then walk a quarter mile at a 4 mile per hour pace.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I need you to do. Okay,
And when I
'cause
do the treadmill, I go up and down a lot.
Right. Keep it flat.
Okay.
Right. Keep it flat right now. The idea is just to increase speed.
Okay.
Right. And that's what we're doing, because if you don't increase your speed, obviously exercise gets easier because you're not carrying as much weight, but you're burning fewer calories than when you were.
Mhm.
Right. Because you're moving less weight compared to what you had been. So now it's about increasing the intensity to make up that difference.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So that's what we should be focusing on.
Okay.
Okay?
So maybe adding a treadmill time on there now.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely. Because you're losing weight, right?
Mhm.
But as we're talking about, you were at points in time you were losing 3 upwards of 4 pounds per week, and now you're down to that pound and a half.
I'm down to that skinny spot. Yeah.
Right. And we've got to start boosting up that intensity a little bit to get to make that up. I had a patient last night, we were talking about that. Her, she started out and her resting metabolism was 3,400. Her total expenditure was 4,000 calories a day.
Mhm.
Right? Comparably same diet, she was losing 5 pounds. Yeah, we were having her, she was losing 6 pounds a week. Okay? And now she's down to, she was down to a point where she was only losing, it's not a bad thing. She was losing 4 pounds per week,
Mhm.
right? But with her exercise, we increased her intensity, increased what she was doing. She made up 1,200 calories
Mhm.
in a difference with her metabolism dropping. And now she's returned back to losing like 5.5 pounds per week. So that's the important element of exercise at that point in the phase.
Yeah.
Right? It's because I can't control the metabolism dropping. I mean, patients only lose 10% of the body weight. I can control it a little bit with that. But when we're talking significant weight loss, like what you've already experienced, this helps a little bit,
Mhm.
right? But it's not going to, let's say it goes down 700. With this, it may only go down 5, right? But it still is going to go down. But the idea at that point is you got to get moving faster, right, to make up that thermogenic difference.
Okay. Do you know anything about swimming speed?
I don't. So here's the problem with swimming,
Mhm.
right? It is a decent expenditure,
Mhm.
right? Problem is you don't get your heart rate up. Here's the reason why. But here's the reason why.
Uh-huh.
It's a zero gravity,
Uh-huh.
right? Second thing too is it's a cooler environment, so it does keep your body cooler. So your heart rate doesn't get up as high as it would is if you're outside, like on a treadmill. That's been shown, right? So when we look at that, not necessarily doesn't mean that you're not going to burn calories, because you do, right? But you need to keep that in mind that, okay, how long does it take me? Naturally, you can't swim as fast as you can walk, right? So you got to keep that in mind,
Yeah.
right? So any activity is good, but I need you to, if you were to put a rating of perceived exertion scale with everything that you do, right? on a 110, you need to be between a 7 and 8
Okay.
every single time. Right? You should be like, okay, I'm tired. I'm beat. Right? But walking needs you to get you moving faster. Right? Because I know you can.
Yeah,
I
but
know you can.
I'll do what I can. I usually by the time I get up to that 4 mile-an-hour speed on the treadmill, I'm going to fall off the machine because it's going faster than I can do, even though I'm trying for all it's worth. The reason why I asked about the swimming, because I know when like when I do a lap, my heart's beating out of my chest.
Okay, but
and
let's
I'm gasping for air.
Well, let's talk about the treadmill. If you're not comfortable going 4 miles per hour on the treadmill, then let's get to the elliptical trainer, where you have control of the speed. Does that make sense?
Trainer.
Yeah,
Is
the
that
cross
the-
trainer. Yep.
Is that the one that goes like
Exactly.
this?
It's zero impact.
Okay.
It's a third less impact on your back, on your joints, and it's comparable in caloric expenditure. Right? Now, the idea is it'll still measure distance. Right? So keeping that in mind, you control the speed. The faster you go, right? Now you're going to want to apply some resistance because otherwise you're just going to spin, right? But you want to apply some resistance and get to the point where you're still getting that mile in 20 minutes, right? Between 15 to 20 minutes, right? That's where you should be striving for, even on a cross trainer.
Okay, I'll have to learn how to. Yeah,
I can take
You don't
that.
need to do the upper body. I mean, you can if you want, but sometimes they just have those things right there you hold on to, right? And just basically they're angled and they're heart rate monitors. Just keep your hands there and just spin your legs.
No, they got both. Yeah, those at the gym do have both.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's going to take me a while to get used to it because I've tried it a couple of times and it hurts. But
What does it hurt?
my back.
The cross trainer?
Yeah.
When
the
you're doing,
lower back.
did you try doing those or just hold them?
The holding on to.
Okay,
one.
so try to stay upright, so don't slouch down, right? But the cross trainer is better for your back because it's lower impact than it is on a treadmill.
Okay.
Unless you get on a treadmill, it's got a flex deck where it has a lot more give, right? So I know you have some limitations, right? But understanding that, you know, to be able to make up that difference, right? You're going to have to start exercising a little harder.
Okay.
Right.
I'll just have to learn how.
And that's okay, but here's the thing. This is where you have the choice, right? With the exercise.
Right.
If you're okay with losing 3 pounds every 2 weeks, that's okay.
Okay.
Right? If you want to get it closer to 4 pounds, right, every 2 weeks, then that's where you have a decision to make. Say, okay, I got to exercise a little harder because I can't keep cutting calories.
Yeah.
Right. I'm at the base level. Right.
Can't go any lower than you already are.
Correct.
Yeah. And I have been trying to improve. You know, it's like with the swimming, I do one more lap every time I go in, but I have to keep it inside the time frame that I did it. You know, so 1 hour time frame. And
right.
so I did 33 laps. And this last time I went in, they told me if I do 36 laps, that'll be a mile. I was like, I never thought of swimming as going long distance swimming or anything like that. So I thought, well, that's kind of a cool thought to make that mile. So
right.
almost there.
Right.
But it's just like I said, every week I add one more lap, but I still have to do it inside the time frame. So I'm obviously moving faster. Cross trainer, I will try. It's like I tried it before, and I think it's just a case I need to learn how to.
Right.
More than anything, because I just don't know how to operate that machine.
Well, ask get one of the fitness trainers over there,
Yeah.
Or instructors over there to show you how to use it.
Okay.
Right, and start out with it. It doesn't mean you got to be 20 minutes on it. Try it for 5 minutes and see how you feel.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I want you to start. It's called interval training. Right, is like on a treadmill, right, where you're walking at a certain speed. Then even if you can only walk for 30 seconds at 4 miles per hour, put it at 30 seconds, right, and push yourself to go 30 seconds at 4 miles an hour, right. Then back it down to 3.
Okay.
Okay. Give yourself about a minute and a half. Put it back up to 30 seconds at 4 miles an hour. Then bring it back down, right. It does 2 things. One, it conditions your body, right, to get used to the 4 miles per hour. Second thing it does is it pushes your heart rate up, right? So you're burning more calories, right? And it challenges you cardiovascularly as well, so it improves cardiovascular strength, right? And then it brings it back down. So even if you walk at 3 miles an hour, I would want you to do maybe 5, try to get to a total, right, of 8 minutes. 8 minutes of 4 miles an hour, right? Which would be 8 30-second bouts. Okay? That's what we would call interval training. All right? And then go maybe about a minute, minute and a half of 30-second or 3 mile per hour recovery time. Okay? So try that. And see how that feels. I mean, you're going to feel it. I'm not going to lie and say, hey, it's going to be a walk in the park. No, you're going to be tired and you might be sore the next day.
Yeah.
That's to be expected.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
All right. Does that make all sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I was just thinking about how you were saying that. I used to do that with I'd go up as fast as I could and then back it down and then I'd go back up and I'd do that till, well, it had a 5K thing and I would do it for that. So, but it took more than an hour to get to that.
Right, but this will be, I think this is an important element to your junction, to the junction of where you're at. You lost 3 pounds in 2 weeks, great, right? But I think to get you to that 100, that century mark, right? The exercise is gonna, like I said, exercise, diet and exercise, 80% diet, 20% exercise. Well, you're at the 80% diet, right? And you've lost 80, you've lost 80 pounds, actually 81 pounds now. Right? So now we've got to get you to the point where, okay, exercise is going to help me get to that 100-pound mark, right? And you can still get there in a reasonable time frame.
Yeah.
Right? It's just going to help you a little faster.
All right. But this is my last pod, and they gave
Good.
me. This is the first time I ever had that page.
Oh, this is a different one, yeah.
Shows you charts and everything.
10% change there, fat-free weight change, which is normal, and then we look at where's your. Oh, they didn't. Okay, so just basically taking the difference between. So you've lost 65 pounds of fat according to this. So if we look at the difference, so that's what's important.
Oh, and I found out we had our final challenge and ceremony and all that kind of stuff, and I won 2nd place in my category.
Good.
And I liked the way they had it split up because you're competing with somebody who's more your level. And so she beat me out by 2 points, which made me feel good. And it's not like me trying to compete with you. It's like I'm going to win anything.
Right.
So it made me feel good.
So I think looking here, see, this is their estimated RMR. See how it's gone down? Right. And we measured it and it went down dramatically.
Yeah.
Right. So this is just an estimate, but we know it's gone down a lot more than that.
Yeah.
Right. This is about comparable to where we have you. So if we look at this, you've lost of your weight loss. According to this, you've lost 88% of your weight is fat loss. Right? Because you built a little bit of muscle along the way.
Yeah.
Right? So, but you still lost 9.5 pounds of muscle. You can't,
That's unavoidable.
Yeah, it's unavoidable. No, but that's still good.
That's a healthy loss, though.
Yeah, right. No, relative percentage-wise, if I can get every patient to lose, 80%, around 85%, then that's doing great. I've got some patients that typically lose maybe 70-75% fat. Still good, right? Still if you compare it, 3 out of 4 pounds is going to be fat.
Yeah.
Right. So that's pretty dang good. So, no, that's good. That's good to know. So everything's going in the right direction.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think that's what's important to understand. So bars. Now what I can do, since these bars come in a little bit different packaging, and I did it for another patient, is because they're not cellophaned. They're just actually in a box. And so I just opened the box and I put 6 of the greens and 6 of the spice together.
That's fine.
So what do you want to do for your, I guess supplies for this coming week or 2 weeks?
Okay. Well, the bars, you can mix them up with that. That's okay. The drinks, chocolate.
Chocolate, okay. All right, so we'll do chocolate and then do a mixture of the greens and spice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you gonna do little thingies too?
I'm waiting. I got about 7 more patients that are getting feedback. Right now, it's kind of hit and miss. Some people seem to think it helped. My belief, and maybe I didn't explain it as good as I should have, it's not a good hunger control mechanism for the short term. What I mean by that is, because that's why we recommend that if you have it, drink it, you need to eat within about 15 to 30 minutes.
Right.
And the reason behind that, because it slows digestion of your meal. It doesn't necessarily, here, take this, it's going to control my hunger for 4 hours. It doesn't do that. Because it's liquid and it gets into the intestinal tract. The idea is it begins to gel, like you experience at the bottom of the cup. That gel, right, expands in the stomach and slows digestion of the food that you just had. Right, so it takes longer, and that's what keeps you fuller longer in the evening.
Oh, okay, I got you.
So I've had some patients mess that up, and they're like, I didn't know.
Yeah, so you're gonna get mixed up readings, yeah.
So.
'Cause like I said, it wasn't so much as it made me feel full, it's just made me feel not hungry.
Right, and that's a short-lived thing.
Yeah, and it was
because I
about
tested
4
it on
hours
myself.
later, I was hungry.
Right, I tested on myself not having anything, and I was still hungry in about an hour.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that didn't work. But if I ate, I had it before a meal, like last night, I was like, I wasn't hungry, later in the evening, so I purposely tried that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, 'cause I noticed, that's pretty much what happened when I was at my mom's. I had that, then I had my whatevers,
Right.
And I did that on Monday too.
Okay.
Because you did say take it just before I was gonna eat, so that's pretty much what I did.
Yeah.
But like I said, it just made me feel not hungry, not so much as full.
Right.
And, which was fine with me, I was busy and I don't wanna be thinking about food and, I did distract my brain from saying, oh, I'd like to have when we have this and we have that.
Right.
So
let me go get you a box of those spice and of the greens.
Okay.
Mixed, and then I'll get you a canister of chocolate.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Well, good job.